What's up, everybody? Welcome to my MMA cheat sheet video for UFC on ESPN 5, Covington versus Lawler. Last week was not so good. It's crazy. The winning lineup had a loss in it, so I was not expecting that. I usually try to make my lineups and try to get 6 winners in there because 9 times out of 10, the winning lineup will have 6 wins on it. But it's just one of those cases where the winning lineup did not have a winner. It did have a loser on it, so that was pretty disappointing. I did like a lot of underdogs last week, so it was crazy to see that. Most of the underdogs lost. I believe only one underdog won, and Choi lost, Frodo lost, and I did have a little bit of Tucker to back me up there, and I had a decent amount of Robertson, but didn't really get a good lineup together. So it was a pretty bad week, and then cash did not go good as well. Missed the cashing line by 6 points. But before that, the cash lineup cashed 10 times in a row, so you can't really complain whenever it cashes 10 times in a row, and you're bound to lose a cash line eventually. So I'm hoping to bounce back this month. If you guys do want to get that cash line, we are on Patreon. I'll put the link in the description. There you'll get the cheat sheet that you see now with all the stats you need, and then also on that cheat sheet is the projections, and then my targets page, which I update throughout the week. So it's very important to get on there. I do add plays throughout the week. I do a lot of my research like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then after I post this video, I usually do some extra research as well, interviews, weigh-ins, and then also some extra film in there. So if I did miss something, and then I go back and look, I will put some of those plays on there, and I will take some plays off. So it's very important to get on there. And then also we have my lineup percentages, so you see who I'm high on and not so high on, and then my cash lineup. That's cashed, I believe it's like 83% of the time now. It cashed 10 times in a row. So looking for this month to get 4 for 4 this month, and yeah, go 100% this month and get it back up to 90%. And also my bets, I did cash a really nice parlay, a 5-leg parlay last week. Put a decent amount of money on that, so I won pretty big in that. So that was awesome. So that made me break even. Actually, even won a little bit more than I put in with DraftKings and my betting. So that helped me out a lot. And then also I do extra rankings. I rank my top 5 underdogs and my top 5 to score 100 points. And then also we have Slack chat, which is really cool because you get to talk with all the guys in there, see what they're thinking. You guys can ask me any questions whenever you want. So if you guys are on Patreon and you're not in the Slack chat, make sure you contact me or Chris, and we'll put you in there as soon as possible because a lot of important information is in there. And yeah, so I'm very excited for this week, ready to bounce back, ready for a good month. And now's the time to join Patreon. The month just begun, so you're going to get 4 good weeks of MMA. It's only $5. It's $125 a card, and you can't get that deal anywhere else. All right, so I'm going to quickly go through these fights. I did post, we did a podcast, me and Chris. It's on Chris's channel here. So if you want a more in-depth breakdown and more just more content there, just go check that out. It's called the Uppercut DFS podcast. It's about 45 minutes long. It's not too bad, but it just breaks down all the fights and gives predictions and whatnot. So I'm not really going to dig into these fights too much because we did spend a lot of time on that. So if you guys want to check that out, you can. And also I will be posting a predictions video on my account, main card prelims, and then also I do a DraftKings video on there as well. My channel is Thunder DFS. If you guys want to check that out, I'll put the link in the comments there. So let's quickly go through these fights. And like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on it here. Barella versus Murphy. I think Barella's going to win, but honestly, I'm not interested in this fight. I believe this is the first fight of the night. I don't know. They changed it around recently, so this is not in order actually, but they did change it around. If this is the first fight of the night, I'm probably going to fade it altogether. The first fight of the night always has screwed me in the past, so I don't really like that. And I don't really like this fight to target on DraftKings. I think the winner of this fight is going to score low, maybe 60s or 70s. I do think Barella's going to win. I like her more as like a bet here because I do like her. I think she's the faster fighter, so I'm probably going to fade this fight in DraftKings and make it pretty simple for you. And then Matt Schnell versus Jordan Espinoza, another fight I'm not too high on DraftKings at all. I think this fight's going to score pretty low. Espinoza had like 60 points in a win, his last win. It is interesting, so I think the winner, it probably is going to go by decision. They both don't have much knockout power. Each of them has about like a 17% KO rate for Schnell and an 18% KO rate for Espinoza. They're both grapplers. They both are very good on the ground. So I think it's just going to be a striking match here. And then so I think Schnell is probably going to win if it goes to decision, but I can see Espinoza maybe clipping Schnell and finishing him on the ground here. Espinoza does have decent power, and Schnell's a little bit chinny. So if I was to play this in DraftKings, honestly, I'd play Jordan Espinoza at 8,200. He's the favorite here, and I think this fight's very close. I'm picking Schnell to win, but in DraftKings, I'd definitely lean Espinoza for that knockout upside. And if there's no finish here, I think it's just a fight you can honestly avoid here. And then Claudio Silva versus Cole Williams. I've seen a lot of love come in for Cole Williams. He's on a week notice. I mean, go ahead, guys. I don't know. I'm not really interested in it. I might have maybe 10% Williams just in case something crazy happens. But there's no reason that Claudio Silva should lose this fight, man. He's on a 13-fight win streak here. If he gets this to the ground, I think it'll be over shortly after. But he's just got to get it to the ground. We don't know how Cole Williams' cardio is going to be. Usually it's not good, and he's coming in on a week's notice, so I think it's going to be even worse. So I like Claudio Silva. As for 9,400, not really interested in that. And as for the betting line, I'm not really interested in that as well. So probably honestly going to more so fade this fight and maybe have a couple shares of Silva and like 2 shares of Williams if I'm doing a 20 max, but nothing crazy. And here's a fight I am going to target, especially on Holtzman's side. He's 9,300 and Ma's 6,900. I'm going to fade Ma for sure. I like Holtzman a lot. I bet him. And I like him to win. I like him to win by knockout. I think he's going to get takedowns. And if he does get a takedown, I think he can finish on the ground with ground and pound there. I don't think he's going to submit him or nothing. I think he can get a takedown, a few takedowns, and eventually finish him on the ground with some good ground and pound there. So I think he's going to be probably the highest scorer or close to it. I think there's 2 other guys that can really compete with him for the highest score, and I think he's definitely one of them. And I'm going to be having a lot of them. I'm going to be putting him in as much lineups as I can. So I do like Holtzman a lot. Giles versus Mearstrike. This is a fight you're going to want to target. This is a fight that is not going to go to the distance, so I'm going to play both sides of this. I'm probably going to be 100% on this fight, and I'm leaning probably 60-40 Giles, maybe 65, something like that, 65% Giles. I do like Giles to win. I like him to keep this on the feet, and if he does keep this on the feet and strikes with Mearstrike, he's going to knock him out. Giles got clipped in the finish in his last fight. I don't think Mearstrike has the power to do that. Giles doesn't have a bad takedown defense. I think it's like 75-80%. So it's not too impressive, but it's decent. So if he does keep this on the feet, and Mearstrike just has nothing for Giles on the feet. But if this does get to the ground, I will be a little bit worried. So I am going to play both sides. And whoever wins this fight, I think, is going to score very high. So I think you need this fight in your lineups, and I'm going to be 100% on this fight. A fight now, Shevchenko versus Pudilova. Another fight I'm just interested in as a betting perspective. I like Shevchenko quite a bit in this matchup. I think she's the better striker, and Pudilova's only path to victory is wrestling, and she hasn't used her wrestling all her UFC career. So I like Shevchenko. I do not like her at 8,600. I do not like her on DraftKings. I'm going to probably fade this fight, but I did bet Shevchenko. So I hope she wins. I think she's going to win. I think it's a great matchup for her. As for Pudilova, not interested. Probably going to fade this fight altogether. And then now we got Salim Tahari versus Mickey Gall. The fight that's 50-50 for me. I think Salim Tahari is the better fighter, but his output's not too good. So I think if he wins, I don't think he's going to finish Gall. I can see him winning a decision, trying to keep this on the feet, stuffing Gall's takedowns. I think that's his path to victory, and I think if he does do that path to victory, I think he's going to score around 65, 70 points. Really low for 8,300. So if I was to play anybody on this fight, honestly, it'd be Mickey Gall. He's going to come in here trying to get the finish. He has a 100% finish rate. If he does get this to the ground, it could be over shortly after. Tahari's no slouch on the ground, but still, Gall, I think, is a lot better on the ground. His submissions are crazy. He's won every fight by submission. So if I was to play somebody in this fight, it would be Mickey Gall at 7,900. I like that price a lot, and he could definitely pay off his price tag with a submission. So I do like Gall quite a bit. And then Stochik versus Njoku. This is the fight. I think it would be a sneaky fight to fade here. I think it's going to be very high owned. Njoku just doesn't throw with power. I see a lot of people on him. I think he's going to be very high owned in GPPs here. But Stochik throws with power. He has lower volume, so if this is a decision, I think Njoku's going to win just because of his volume. I don't see Njoku knocking Stochik out. I can see Njoku scoring very low, like in the 70s. But if Stochik wins, I think it's going to be by knockout. He hits super hard, and Njoku hasn't really proved himself in the UFC, lost to Paul Craig, in my opinion, the worst fighter in the UFC. Um, so he doesn't have really good fight IQ, as you saw in his last fight. So I like Stochik to win here by knockout. That's what I'm going with. 8,400. He'll definitely pay off the price tag. I just don't think Njoku's that good, really. He's the athletic freak, but I just don't think he's that good. I think he's a little bit overrated, and I think he's going to be a little bit chalky this week. So I think Stochik's going to come in around probably 25%, maybe around there. And I do think there is a knockout upside. But yeah, I like Stochik to win. I like him to win probably by knockout. And if he doesn't get it by knockout, that means Njoku's going to win a volume-based fight there and probably score in the 70s. I don't think it's going to hit value, though. So probably not going to play much Kennedy. I'm going to play a decent amount of Stochik. And then Ranger versus Goldie. At first, this is the fight I just wrote off. Didn't really want to play into it, but I looked more into it because, as you can see, I don't really have stats for this fight. Both making their UFC debuts. So Goldie's 8,800 and Ranger's 7,400. I don't mind playing Ranger as the underdog play here. She has really, really good submissions, and I think if she gets Goldie on the ground once, I think she's going to be submitted. I think she has 3 first-round submissions in her last 3 fights. So, yeah, her submission game is crazy. So, if this does stay on the feet and Goldie can stop those takedowns, Goldie's going to win a striking-based decision, possibly knock her out. So I'm probably going to play both sides of this, but lean more towards Ranger here and to get that submission at 7,400. That'd be absolutely crazy. I think this fight isn't really safe in cash. I'd probably more GPP here. But yeah, I touch a little bit of both sides here because I do think Goldie has that knockout upside, and then Granger has that submission upside, and the line is closing in Granger's favor. So this could more so be a pick'em by fight time. And then now we got Nazarat Haqparast and Joaquim Silva. Another fight I'm probably going to be 100% on. Whoever wins this fight is going to score high. I think Silva, if he uses his wrestling and his grappling, I think he has a path to victory there. And also, I think he can knock Haqparast out at some point. But easier said than done there. And if he does not knock out Haqparast or get him to the ground and submit him, I think it's going to be very hard for Silva to get a win here. I think Haqparast has the more volume, and he lands 5.42 strikes per minute, which is pretty good. I think the second best on the card behind Giles. But yeah, Haqparast I think is either going to win a volume-based decision or Silva's going to get that knockout. And at 7,100, you're going to want to have some of him. So I'm probably going to go 100% on this fight, leaning probably Haqparast just because Silva needs a knockout or something. But this is a close fight, and I think the line's way off here. I like Silva quite a bit. So, man, I'm going to have 100% of this fight. I don't know which way I'm going to lean ownership-wise yet, but probably more Silva just because he's cheaper, and I think Holtzman's the better play there in the 9,000s, and also Covington. So it's going to be tough to get Covington, Haqparast, and Holtzman all in a lineup. So I think I'm going to lean more Silva, just hope he can get that knockout or submission. And then Jim Miller versus Clay Guida. This fight would have been awesome 10 years ago, but both these guys are out of their primes for sure. I think Jim Miller's going to win. I think Jim Miller's going to either man, it's tough. I think if he gets this to the ground once, I think it could be over shortly after. 8,900, I'm not really interested in. I'm more so leaning playing the dog in this fight, Clay Guida. It is in Jim Miller's hometown, so if this does go to decision, I think Jim Miller might get it there. But I'll take a stab at Guida at 7,300. I think if he doesn't get finished on the ground or submitted, I think he's going to win a striking-based decision here. He definitely has the more pace and everything, and I think he can definitely not knock Miller out, but just put the pace on him and all that. So, yeah, Miller, I like him to win here, but I would not play him on DraftKings. I think he's going to get a submission, and there might even be some hometown cooking here. If it goes to decision, I think they might give it to Miller. I think this is going to be Miller's last fight, and I think he's retiring after this. So, yeah, I'd be a little cautious on this fight. I don't think I'm going to play much of it at all. It is going to be the co-main event, so it's going to be popular, but I'm more so leaning to staying away and playing a little bit of Guida. And then main event, Colby Covington versus Robbie Lawler. I'm going to play both sides of this fight. I think Covington has a really good path to victory here, taking down Lawler, just being on him all fight. He has tremendous cardio. So if he can hold him down all fight, get a couple takedowns, 2-3 takedowns every round, get like 7 to 8 takedowns for the whole fight, maybe surpass 8 there. And I think he could win a wrestling decision here, just a grinding decision, just grinding Robbie Lawler. But you got to watch out for Lawler's knockout power. Covington has not been knocked out in 15 fights, so that's a little reassuring, but I don't think he's faced anybody with the power of Lawler here, so it's going to be really interesting. Lawler looked great on the scales, so I'm leading Covington. I did bet Covington. I'm fine with that bet as of now. I like him a lot. I like him to win. At 9,100, I'll definitely be playing a good amount of him. I'm going to go 100% on this fight. Probably go 65% Covington, 35% Lawler, something like that. Maybe a little bit more Covington there, 70%, 30%, something like that. But I do like Covington to win. And that's it for the quick breakdown there. Here's my core plays. We got Covington, Giles, Holtzman, and Stochik. All these guys, I think, can score over 100. They have huge upside. I wouldn't be surprised if any one of these four guys were the highest scorers on the slate. And yeah, I'm going to be targeting them quite a bit. And then GPP, Jim Miller, Espinoza, Hack Brass, and Mickey Gall. Jim Miller, if he gets that first round submission, there you go. He hit value, but I think that's the only way he hits value is the first round submission, but it is possible. Jordan Espinoza, I think he has knockout upside here. Chanel's a little bit chinny, so I think that'd be a nice low-owned play there. And then Hack Brass, 9,100. I think it's going to be fairly popular, but I think he can get that volume-based decision there, possibly even knock Silva out. So I think it's a fantastic GPP play. And then Mickey Gall, 7,900, another fantastic GPP play, probably a little bit low-owned. I think he has submission upside. And then Live Dogs, Gerald Mearshark, 7,700. He's always a great dog. If he gets this to the ground, he could get a submission here. Kennedy and Joko, I think he can possibly get that volume-based decision here. I don't think he's going to get a knockout, so I don't know if he's going to hit value, but he's a live dog for sure. Clay Guida could get that volume-based decision as well if he avoids the submission here, but if it does go to decision, it could go in Jim Miller's favor because he is the hometown guy. And then Miranda Granger, a play I like a lot here, 7,400 submission upside here. If she gets Goldie to the ground, wears her out, gets her to the ground, I think she can get a submission. And then some fades here. We got Barella. I'm probably going to fade Barella here, 8,700. I just don't think she's going to score that much. I can see her getting like 70 points. So, and then Dong Hyun Ma, I just think is an awful play. I think he's going to get beat. Not even worth a pump play for me. There's other pump plays I'd rather play than Ma. And then Joaquim Silva, 7,100. I think he has knockout upside. If he takes this to the ground, he has submission upside. He just has a couple of different paths to victory if he can get that finish there. But he needs to finish. And if he does get that finish, 7,100, you're going to have him on your lineup. And then Robbie Lawler, 7,200. Another guy that's, if he's going to win, he's going to get the finish. So I'm going to have a decent amount of Robbie Lawler as well. I'm not going to go 100% on Covington. That'd just be pretty dumb because I know a Lawler could definitely knock him out. But I am leaning Covington to get that decision there. And all right, that's about it, guys. If you guys want to check out my podcast, you can. It's on Chris's channel there, and I will be posting videos on my channel, Thundernut DFS, so check those out as well. Make sure you give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and also make sure you subscribe. And yeah, that's about it, and good luck, guys.